Your views. You can SMS at any time during the show. Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond Kizito. In Spectrum tonight we are reviewing the week. Some of the issues that we'll be looking at, the compensation saga. President Museveni this week rejected claims that he sanctioned the compensation of Sebalu and Rhino investments to the tune of 156 billion shillings. We'll be looking at that. Also, the ultimatum in Parliament. Opposition legislators say, well, give us a Christmas gift, resign if you have been named in corruption. We'll talk about that. The UPC saga. UPC President Laro is under fire for allegedly mismanaging the party. The question is he a dictator or a diplomat? We'll be looking at that issue as well. Dr. Vestia to relinquish top FDC position. We'll talk about that. Our guests tonight, Honorable Mike Sebalu, Ugandan representative at the East African Legislative Assembly, also a member of the NRM NEC. You're most welcome, Honorable Mike Sebalu.
Thank you very much, our distinguished moderator, and may I say good evening to all our listeners and viewers.
Viewers, because we're also on the internet, you can access a video of YouTube of Spectrum of YouTube. We also have Imam Kasozi, lecturer at IUIU, that's the Islamic University in Uganda, who is also a Muslim cleric. You're most welcome, Imam Kasozi.
Thank you. Good evening, listeners and viewers.
We're also joined by Mr. Vincent Mayanja, Deputy Secretary General of the Democratic Party, also a veteran journalist. You're most welcome, Mr. Mayanja.
Thank you, Edmond, and good evening, listeners and viewers.
We also expect to be joined by Honorable James Akena, Lira Municipality MP, who is also a member of the Uganda People's Congress. Honorable Sebalu, President Museveni rejected claims that he could have been responsible for the the payment of 156 billion shillings to Sebalu, the businessman, and the Rhino Investments, which is also allied to him. The President advised PAC, that's the Public Accounts Committee, to hold Ministers Saida Bumba and Chiduma Kaubia accountable because they were at the center of the compensation. Now, it also emerged later that the letter, which was presented as a directive, had been written by one Edward Mohozi, a 27-year-old assistant to the President in charge of economic affairs. Is the President totally innocent, since seeing that this letter bore his signature and it was written by his assistant?
Yeah, thank you very much. The issue of compensation has preoccupied the media and the general public for the rest of this week, for obvious reasons that it is a subject that needed to be dealt with and come to the bottom of it, so that at the end of the day the population knows who did what in terms of facilitating the process where a whooping 156 billion was compensated to an individual. It becomes interesting, one, because you're not dealing with a situation where one had an asset or a project or a building, but this is a question of paperwork. Some paperwork done, and you find that ownership is transferred to someone, then that person later is seen or appears to be dispossessed and therefore stakes a claim, and at the end of the day you get this kind of return on the investment of paperwork. It can be quite very disturbing, and for me, we are looking at the tail end. My view is that actually we should go to the bottom of it. How did this whole transaction begin? How did Sebalu, for instance, get to own City Constitutional Square, which then turned out to be his own asset, and he got dispossessed, in which case he deserved compensation. So we need to deal with everyone in the chain up to the point when this transaction came into being. Because if this transaction had never gotten started in the first place, maybe these secondary processes would never have taken place. So for me, I even want the committee, the PAC, not to stop at compensation, but also go deeper and look at the process. Where did it begin? How come someone gets a market, then which market is even occupied by people? Because in all our jurisdictions, we always give priority to sitting tenants or to whoever is occupying. Even these houses, when they were selling government pool houses, first priority was always given to those that were occupying them. It is only after failure that then a third party would come in to access that. So let's go back to that. Having said that, I also appreciate the fact that the PAC committee has gotten to the level of interacting and engaging with the president on this matter. I find that to be a very good development, both for the committee of parliament, but also for the president and in general the presidency. So for either side to have agreed to have that interaction, it was to me a very good development. The committee did good work to seek out the president's audience, and the president acted in a very courteous manner, and in my view he exhumed a lot of good leadership to allow the committee to engage with him, and he gives his side of the story. Because this is very important, to always cross-check available data, so that you give, even the natural justice demands that before you make a conclusive decision on a matter,
you look at all
sides. So this was very helpful that the president came out and he explained himself, and he did it to such a level that he supported the principle of compensation, but even qualified it that the problems of how this whole thing started notwithstanding, which means that he was not happy with the way even this subject came up, how Basajabalaba came to own these properties to warrant compensation. But that notwithstanding, he supported the principle of compensation so that there is fairness in this. But what is interesting is that in all the communications that he availed to the committee, there was nowhere where he specifically indicated that such money should be paid. Because we need to look at principles. Because at this level, at the level of the president, you deal with the principles, but the details
are done by the
technical people. Now, it brings to light very serious issues to do with the sense of judgment of the government valuer. This is someone who should be able to explain himself, because I don't think that that kind of compensation can be given without the government valuer coming in. So all the technical people
should be questioned,
who are supposed to advise the process, because this is a process. The principle has been set, but the implementation is subject to technical evaluation and technical input. So the technical people
should
must have failed. And the ministers themselves who take political responsibility, or
explain.
They should explain who exactly arrived at that figure. It would be very interesting to know who exactly arrived at that
figure. Very briefly, do you think we should have a commission of inquiry into this from the roots?
I think
156 billion shillings. This is a small amount of money for a poor country like ours.
It is useful to go back to even the point when this transaction started. How did an individual get to own Constitutional Square, for instance?
Wonder they might own
that becomes very interesting.
Talk to us about this. What do you think we should do?
Thank you very much. Where I wanted to start, my colleague Sebalu has touched. That do we have? My question was, do we have government value? Because if papers are being presented to a committee and there are no figures, but we are talking in billions of shillings, hundreds of billions of shillings, then it means there is something fundamentally wrong. And therefore, my take on this is, I want people to critically analyze what has been now presented on the table by both the president and the ministers and all those technical groups or technical groups to people that have been involved into this saga, so that we can really touch base of where is the problem. Number two, the president in his analysis statements, he says somehow he was ill-advised, but he has hundreds of advisors in other sectors.
Dozens, you could say, is more accurate.
Dozens.
Yes.
Okay. Dozens of advisors
And assistants.
in various sectors. Plus also special people in the president's office. Assistants and assistant to assistant. Several of them we have engaged in debate. You find you have been knowing Imam Kasozi, but behind Imam Kasozi there are some other 10. All of them pretending to be assistants. Okay.
Well, they were given those. They can't be. You can call them assistants.
Then I am asking myself, do we really, does the president get the right advice?
Right.
Number two, one of the people in this saga, Kasozi,
Joy Kabatsi.
okay, with all due respect, how did she get to this office after a political problem in Zimbabwe? Okay, between her and Madam Hanifa Kawola, and then she ends up into this critical and sensitive job.
Okay.
Okay, can't I? Supposing I pose a question, was she being rewarded, or she was being put from somewhere where somebody else go, and she was incompetent to occupy this? Then the other thing, over Chidu Makuya and my sister Saida Bumba, is it sacrifice? Is it blackmail? Okay. Because I want to be very clear into this one, whether they are being sacrificed or it is blackmail.
All right.
They stated in black and white that it was the president.
Okay.
The president has said in black and white that for me this is what I said. Now we want to know, because between the day the president said that when I called her, she said I was misquoted.
All right.
The president ought to have taken a very strong stand over the matter before the Public Accounts Committee. So I am asking myself, are they being sacrificed, or there is blackmail in the whole process?
Mr. Mayan, this is very close to the president's office skin. When do the figures come in?
First of all, before we even look at the figures, we need to look at a bigger picture in this country. For me, it seems that we are in trouble.
Go on.
That we have a president in office who can sign a document, but he has not read it.
Well, the president signs dozens of documents.
Oh no, the president is supposed to sign, because his signature is very important.
Yes.
The president has to sign a document after scrutinizing it. But what he is telling us, that, you know, it was authored by an Edward Muhozi, a 27-year-old man, and then he signed.
Well,
that's a major problem. But anyway,
so would you do anything else if you had to read everything that he signed? Would you?
Let me tell you one thing. The president should be held at a higher standard of accountability.
Go on.
And I want to remind whoever is listening and who can talk to the president that just recently in the UK, a parliamentary secretary of Mr. Cameron, I think
Prime Minister there.
The Prime Minister. Is he called Barre or something like that? He went and attended a party where people put on costumes similar to those of the Nazis. Yeah. They all dressed up as Hitler, like Hitler.
German Nazis.
And when the video leaked, Cameron just moved and sacked the official. He's a junior minister almost. He's at the level of the junior minister. So what is the president talking about here?
You think you should sack these officials?
If he's really saying that these people did wrong, then he should sack them, because he appointed them.
And why do you think he's not sacking them?
Because he knows that they will go around and say, yes, you have sacked us, but this is this, this is this. They have already told Parliament. Now the president was involved in all this. But more importantly, I think the image of government should be defended. If you don't do that, then this country is is in a very bad situation.
Let's move on. Let's talk about corruption.
But there is something.
No, before you come,
Something small, very briefly.
Because no, when the president appears before PAC,
yes,
and he says that these people should explain themselves.
Yes, he's giving them fairness. He's being just, giving them justice, basically.
Yeah, but also subjecting them to the due process.
Right.
the due process is not about appointing or disappointing. The due process is in the process in the law.
All right, let's
enforce the law. But before I want to tell Ugandans that they should not be surprised with what is taking place.
Why? Why should they not be surprised?
The manner in which you acquire power is the manner in which you govern.
Let's move
If you acquire power primitively, you acquire wealth primitively. This is what is going on.
Let's move forward. In Parliament today, over the week, it's the Christmas message. The opposition said all ministers implicated in corruption, but who are still holding office, one minister resigned not too long ago, should give Ugandans a Christmas and New Year's present by resigning. If not, they face censure. Should these people actually step aside, including the Prime Minister, Mr. Mayanja?
Well, I think I've already said this before, that by stepping down, it doesn't mean that you are convicting yourself, but you'll be really doing the right thing. That let me step aside, and if I'm innocent, then the process will absolve me. I think the ministers should step aside. But if we have a situation where government can be taken over by individuals like the Basajja Balabas of this world.
What do you mean the government can be taken over by individuals?
Well, if Basajja Balaba can pay his cards, goes to the central bank, goes to the president, and he gets 156 billion shillings, then he has taken over government.
Oh, he just walks in, crosses the road, goes to the central bank.
Definitely.
Walks out with his hands.
Because look at Nakasero Market.
Yes.
How much merchandise is sold at Nakasero Market?
Many hotels buy their food from there.
But how much in a year?
A lot, I believe.
What was at his city square? And then you compensate him with 156 billion. Really, we need to get serious.
Imam Kasozi, should we get a Christmas present from these people, a card saying I resign towards?
May I have already posed my question, which I need the wider Ugandan people to think critical about. If these people, if it is true that Saida Bumba talked to the president and said that I was misquoted, okay, then she should task those who misquoted her, or she should come up again and say what is the reality. Otherwise, I think she deserves to resign. Actually, if I were her, I would have resigned. If I were her, I would have resigned. Because between the president and Saida Bumba and Chiduma Kuya, one of the persons, there's a person telling lies. That's why I'm saying, is it sacrifice or it is blackmail? One of these things must be clear.
It could be sacrifice, it could be a blackmail.
It will be blackmail.
Explain that.
Imam,
Yes.
you should know the propensity of pointing fingers to others and you remain clean. That is what
That's what I'm saying. In the whole of this, there is somebody telling, if Saida Bumba and Chiduma Kuya are not telling lies, okay, and they are true, then they should resign and say, we cannot serve.
They are not telling lies.
They should resign.
And if they are telling lies?
If they are telling lies, they should also resign. And then come and tell Ugandans, we are very sorry we did this out of. It's because this is where, if you don't become yourself, you are occupying a position of power or authority, and you are not yourself. You are in a position, but you are not in possession. In most cases, that's what happens. Therefore, that's why I always tell people, be yourself, take a decision that will be accountable for, and then when reality comes out, you can say no, this is it. Because I know Makuya can come up because the president even said I have not spoken to him.
Yes.
After saying that big statement and you telling me he's in your cabinet and it is 2 months you have not spoken to him, there's something fundamentally wrong.
That means systems are right.
There is something fundamentally wrong.
Yes, Honorable Sebalu.
Yeah, I think there are 2 things we need to look at here. One, the president came up and he indicated that any instructions or directives on this subject were done in writing.
Yes.
So then if there is that communication that had figures, then it should be part of the correspondences that ought to have appeared in this meeting.
All right.
Now that didn't appear, clearly shows that maybe they misread the directives or they overstepped their mandate in executing the directives.
All right.
But given that the president and the other ministers are available, and the president indicated that all correspondences on this matter were in written form, not telephone conversation, then I think that ought to give us a good bearing. But secondly, these ministers are going to appear before PAC, given what the president discussed with the committee, because he indicated that they can come and give further explain themselves.
Right.
So I think we need to give that aspect of time also, so that we move logically but conclusively.
This
I think there is opportunity for the minister to give their side of the story, just like the president gave his side of the story. And I believe in that kind of way of doing things.
Absolutely. You're putting it very succinctly. Thank you very much indeed, Honorable Sabu. You made it very, very clear. Listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio, and tonight we are reviewing the week with Honorable Mike Sebalu, Imam Kasozi, Mr. Vincent Mayanja, and Honorable. We were expecting Honorable James Akena has not been able to come. We're going for a break. When you come back, you'll be able to contribute to this discussion by sending your text message. What you do is type the word Spectrum in your phone browser, write the question, message, or comment, and send it to 7197. That is Spectrum space message, question, or comment. Send it to 7197. We're going for a break. We'll be back.
John, Mike, and I, we go back a bit. We knew John at the beginning, working for someone else. But he was different. He had vision, saw opportunities. He started working towards his goal, opened his own garage, and worked, learning the hard way. His reputation spread. Trust, consistency, quality. Soon people were coming to him from all parts. He made himself and his whole street prosper, and also helped friends, seeing potential in people and helping them on. But John never shouts about all his success. He's just who he is. Special.
So here's to men like John, who make a difference, who enjoy Nile Special, the rich, satisfying taste from the source. Nile Special.
You've earned it. Not for sale to persons under 18.
Let the sunlight in.
Good morning, sunshine of my life. You look happy today.
I am. I came in here and I saw there was a whole pile of washing to do.
But I thought you didn't like doing the washing.
No, I love it. Anything else you need washed?
Sunlight 2-in-1 with added fabric softener. Smells so good, you want to use it again and again.
Let the sunlight in.
Sunlight 2-in-1. Sunlight clean, sunlight fresh.
Sunlight in. Happiness is all around. Let the sunlight in.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90 is brought to you by Stanbic Bank.
Welcome back on Spectrum. Tonight we are reviewing the week. Our distinguished panel, Honorable Mike Sebalu, Uganda representative of the East African Legislative Assembly, also a member of the NRM NEC. We also have Imam Kasozi, a lecturer at IUIU, that is the Islamic University in Uganda, also a Muslim cleric, and Mr. Vincent Mayanja, Deputy Secretary General of the Democratic Party, also a veteran journalist. Let's move on from government to the opposition. Mr. Mayanja, the UPC President Dr. Olaro Tun is under fire for allegedly mismanaging his party. Party officials are bitter that he's sacking officials at a, very, very fast pace, maybe faster than he appointed them. Dr. Tun, a former union diplomat, says he has the powers under the UPC constitution. But some party officials and members, including the chairman, the man who organizes the Welcome Party as he came back from exile, now say Otun is a dictator and not really a diplomat. Are we seeing the fall from grace? He's not the visionary leader that we thought he was. Should he go back where he came from, like some people would think?
Well, first of all, as a person from the Democratic Party, I wouldn't like really to debate so much about issues taking place in other parties. But what I would say is that this is a lesson to really politicians. Because when you set rules, abide by those rules. I remember the former president of UPC, Dr. Milton Obote, could just issue out directives from Lusaka, Zambia, and he sacks people. He sacked Cecilia Well. He sacked so many other people. Maybe this is the constitution of UPC. But I think what we need to do is that we need to say is that we need an opposition which is void of so many problems, because this country requires at this time, and we need to remain very united. But before you pass this mic over, I wanted really to make a question about the issue we are discussing before. I want to find out, why should President Museveni make State House a clearing house for any businesses?
What do you mean?
He accused President Binayisa in 1980 that he had made State House a clearing house, and that's why he was removed by the military commission. I'm wondering why the president, what is the president doing, handling this market, handling the other, I think that's not the work of the president. But when we go back to UPC, I pray that they really settle.
Imam Kasozi, the travel, the wars in UPC, maybe they're not wars at all. Dr. Otuno maybe isn't fully in control.
All political organizations or political parties in this country have an internal problem caused by that long time absence of activity. And when people assume power, they continue behaving probably like as it were before. Secondly, somebody has already asked, does UPC have a constitution? What does it say? Okay, how are people appointed and how are people sacked? The other thing is, it is not how long you have been in the diplomatic circle that makes you a good political leader or president of the party. Probably Uganda People's Congress misfired when they were looking for a presidential candidate. What do
you mean they misfired?
They misfired. He was not in touch. He was not with the base.
But he went around the country.
Yeah, going around the country is a different story. That's why you see, even like in the government, we behave the way we behave. The government of Uganda behave the way we behave because of the 5 years they spent in the bush. It is still following them. Right. Sometimes you see them doing things the way how they were done in the bush, when they did not know that rules go like this, and we can summarize you because of so many other things. So equally, this is actually what is happening. I think Otuno came to a situation where she was used in a functioning institution. She used it to work in institutions that were properly functioning, okay, and the head is only almost make signatures, give signatures, and make a few comments. Now he's at the head of the whole thing, right. And even all the problems that political parties face come to him. Somebody has lost a person, he's calling him for burial. He wants mabugo. He wants to buy a suitcase. Right. He wants to buy
private business.
Yeah, so all these problems go with this, and therefore now many other people also fail to understand what is their responsibility. Right. So until we go back and reorganize, actually Uganda needs to get organized. We need to it's not because we don't have the organization.
Movement system.
No, to get organized, because we have the organizations, but we are not properly organized, and therefore that's why we are seeing all this from where we started. When you look, what is the difference between the president saying, "Me, I only stated this, and this is what happened," and what you are seeing that Otuno wakes up one morning and says, you are no longer the chairman. I don't know, between the chairman of the party and the president of the party, who chairs what, right, and who appoints who in the process.
Well, they have a constitution. Let's move on. Honorable Mike Sebalu, I would like you to talk to me about you, but before we go to Uganda House, this question that Vincent Mayanja asked, why is the president getting involved in this? Is it because he was petitioned or what? Talk to us about that, then we go to Uganda House.
I think we need to look at this issue from a much more informed position. One, The president is the chief executive of the country. He's given mandate to manage the country, but he does so through delegated functions, which he gives to other people. But that does not preclude him from intervening in those situations that he deems that need his attention. And when you look at the issue of the market, first of all, look at the people that were involved in Nakasero and in Sauriako. The number of ordinary people.
The traders.
The traders. Now, someone had already made a mistake in terms of giving this market out. But the president, responding to the cries of the ordinary market vendors,
yes,
I think is an issue of good sense of judgment.
No, but
from
he should give instructions, and then the techno has given opportunity to do their work.
Right.
This is the difference.
Can you allow me to develop
my apologies? Please go.
Yeah, so his intervention is exactly what he's talking about. He gave instructions that there are two principles. One, we want this market to be owned by the people who have been working from there. And in order to do that, we need to compensate this person, so that then the market remains.
Okay.
Now, that was his level of intervention. Now, regarding issues of how much and the details, that is the technical issue, which is questioning himself.
Okay, let's move.
Because his intervention was at a principle.
All right.
Let's get the people to own the market. Let this person be compensated. Please, the different departments of government, do your work.
You've done it.
That's why
very
he
well.
is asking, what went wrong? Why did you bring in the figures?
Let's go to Uganda House right now. Honorable Sebalu.
Now, regarding Uganda House,
did he stay away too long, or should we get him?
Regarding Uganda House,
long enough.
you remember you hosted me and Dr. Tuno in the studio.
Yes.
And I told Dr. Tuno at that point
to get Uganda has been around long enough.
I didn't go into the social aspects of his life. I was at his political credentials, and I told him that the earlier he got in touch with the reality of Ugandan politics, the better for him. Because even as we were in this studio making our arguments, he appeared more of a theorist and a hypothetical leader. You know, one who is going to operate where factors are constant. I did tell him that leadership and the factors of politics are dynamic, and you need to be proactive and to be in charge. So he was overrated by UPC, actually. They did overrate him. And when they overrated him, he's a good diplomat. I don't want to falter him on that. But he's a poor political leader with the wrong sense of judgment. You know, the kind of decisions he's making now. One thing that I thought he was going to do for UPC in terms of value addition was to use his diplomatic skills to consolidate the party.
Right.
To be able to bring all people with different shades of opinion within UPC under one, and be able to use them as a critical mass to go out to the people with a sense of consensus.
Right.
But when you see him now throwing people the other way and the other way, actually it has forced me. I am looking around for the UPC constitution.
Right.
I want to know exactly what it states, what powers it gives the president and the chairman, to be able to reconcile my mind of what is going on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think the advice I can give is that let him not be too much in a hurry. Let him try to reach out the different categories of membership of UPC, and his preoccupation should be trying to reconcile their differences with a view of looking for the way forward of a re-energized and stronger party. Because from the viewpoint of NRM, we really want to compete with strong parties. We are getting disappointed that parties are we really sympathize and want them to be strong, to give us a sense of competition. So that is the advice I would give them.
Maybe I should also find the chubby chipped Muganda girl who's been around to connect the gaps of knowledge.
That could be another area, maybe because the leadership also, you also show setup and mindset.
Someone who can advise him
on to manage issues of state affairs, later on party affairs. So that could be an area that needs to be explored.
A chubby chipped Muganda girl well, with or without dimples. Let's talk about something. Dr. Besigye is saying he's going to relinquish the top FDC. He indicated that he was, he wants to leave it early enough so the party can get a new leader who will be able to prepare for 2016, ostensibly. But newspapers reported that he was quitting. He was not quitting politics altogether because the party said that he could be flag bearer in 2016. Do you think the FDC can stand without the good retired Kano doctor?
Yeah, I think it can. I think it can. Any party can be there. You see,
any party can.
No, but I think what we need to look at, and the most important thing, is about teamwork. Once you develop and nurture teamwork, you can be able to sustainably move along, even when you have one of your members. Because, we are not infallible. One day you may wake up and you are not there. So I think the most important thing to look at is to build systems and be able to anchor the strength and the foundation in systems. But the whole idea of Dr. Kizito Besigye leaving is not something that takes me by surprise.
Right.
He's given it his best. He's given a shot at the presidency 3 times.
Yes.
I think because the first time is an incident, second time is a coincidence,
the third time
is a practice.
All right.
It's like a way of life. So I don't think he wants to be there as a serial loser all the time.
Okay.
So the earlier he lets away and give others a chance to take on is. But at the end of the day, I think those are dynamics within the party. There seems to be some agreement on the way they are moving.
Right.
So if it is well thought out and it is seen as something in the best interest of the party, then I don't have any reason to doubt the timing and the reason behind it.
Okay.
But what I can say is that as the NRM, as a party, we are ready for whoever emerges as their leader. We are ready to take them on because we want to still maintain our dominant role as a mass party with the biggest and largest following in the country.
We have to move forward. Of course, you mentioned the infallibility of leaders. Alice Alaso Honorable of the FDC calls it the role of malaria in politics. It could come in and make changes. Vincent Mayanja, do you think the FDC can stand without Dr. Besigye?
Well, I'm one of those people who believe that there's no individual who is bigger than an institution. And I believe that FDC can nurture leaders that can even do better than Dr. Besigye. And I would like to really request my fellow politicians that we should start adopt the culture of departure. That when you try it so much, you can't add any more thing, then you have to accept that time is now and you depart. Then the other thing I want to say is that what Dr. Besigye is doing is not new in Ugandan politics. In the Democratic Party, we have the 6th president now.
Number 6.
Number 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes, the 6th president. And the other parties have not really transited from their leaders. I think the issue we are debating before about UPC is also really connected to that. That some people did not really believe that the power could change from this individual to the other, from this family to the outside that family, and that is a problem.
Okay.
This is a lesson we have to learn, all of us, and I congratulate Dr. Besigye that is going to do it. And I presume, you have read it, you have stated it, Edmond, that he is not going to turn around and say, yes, I left the FDC presidency, but now I'm offering myself as a flag bearer. I think that would be very unfortunate. He would have, in Uganda we say that if he wants to set an example, let him set that example. He goes off the stage and other people will be found.
All right. Imam, Kasozi. Of course, in UPC, the dynasty, the Obote dynasty, was in power for 50 years. He was in party head, and then his wife took over. 50 years.
That's why you see that
Imam hit Kasozi. It was broken at that point. Imam hit Kasozi. Do you think the FDC can stand without the retired colonel?
Yes.
He was once a doctor to the president. Now he's
No,
not.
absolutely yes. I know. But to me, what I actually get out of it is that it is a very healthy development and a good for politics of Uganda,
Right.
the political history of Uganda. If we begin to look at politics in that perspective, whereby we say we can come, even if I don't want to take the view of my brother Sebalu that we losing, even if you are winning, there is time that you need to know things must change and then nurture other people.
But it is worse when you are losing.
So that you move forward. And he has stated it. I know in Jema it has happened. And the good thing is that this, like he said, 6 presidential presidents, I think 2 of them are still living, those who have left power.
Right.
Mayanja is living. So it was not a condition that somebody has died in order to be replaced.
Right.
That's why I'm saying it is a very healthy development and a very positive thing for the politics of this country. So the political future of this country may now begin to have hope. Even our brothers in the NRM who have been worried, okay, they are very, very worried because yes, they are very, very worried. I know when you talk about replacing President Museveni, they get worried that they are going to lose the election. That's why they call him all names of the best strikers you have seen in the football world.
Right.
They call him that name. Our number 9, our number 5, depending on which football has been good.
And he's never played any. The last time he played was number 11, I think.
So I think they should also now get some confidence of saying, yes, Edmond, thank you very much. You have really brought us from nowhere, and we are something. We can steer the ship.
No. What I just want to tell my brother Imam Kasozi is that we are confident, and we have systems in place and structures that deal with that as and when it is deemed necessary.
That the fighting we are seeing
Right.
in the NRM is not because of corruption. It is a political war.
Right.
Because of succession, because of the natural successor and the true successor, and that's where the problem is now. That's why we are seeing everybody bringing all these arguments. So unless they understand that, I want to tell them that Besigye has shown the way. They must appreciate him, and they should not look at his losing the election before. They must look at what is it good for this country.
Before we come to you, Honorable, of course,
They're waiting on a lot of speculation.
what Vincent Mayanja has just said, and Imam Kasozi have just said that the DP has had 6 past presidents. Some of them are still living, 2 of them. The other parties, Jem, have had former presidents, and they are still the only party, if you like, the Ugandan government actually does not have an existing former head of state who's living. All of them have died. Has the NRM stayed in power too long?
No, definitely not. The NRM has played its part. It has handled a historic mission of making a contribution of rebuilding this country, putting it on a very safe standing, and at the end of the day, it is the people of Uganda to determine.
Right.
Because the constitution
Not
has
fair and fair
given
election.
the power. It is the people of Uganda to determine.
Don't hide behind the
Take over. Because the beauty of it is that President Museveni has always subjected himself
And he has
to
won.
regular. He has always sought regular mandate from the people. These are very democratic and necessary that are ensuring rural constitution. So the constitution is narrow. The good thing now, from within, we are getting those results. Because I was reading an interview by the Demonsi, and what he was saying, what Mr. Mbabazi did to him, and so your party now is telling us that much as the people may be with them, we are beaten.
Okay. Of course, there are 2 levels of argument. Some people say in management, they say if something is working, you don't break it, and in leadership, they say if it ain't broke, break it.
in football, they say never change a winning team.
Well, maybe we'll talk about that another time. Listen, Mayanja, some people in the FDC, including Uganda Kumu, say that next party president should come from another region, not the West. Where should he come from? Let's talk about some names. Nandala Mafavi Wafula Ugutu Katun to Salam Musumbamujisha Muntu. Who should be the next person there?
I think the next person should be that capable person of rallying FDC together. Any talk about regions, about tribes, I think is very, very parochial and very outdated. We should really debate about the capabilities of people,
not the regions,
and not the regions.
Of course, the last election, if you analyze it, we had 2 people from the West, they got more than 90% of the votes. We have 2 people from the North, they got the second, they were the second best in performance, and then 4 people from Uganda, they got the tiniest amount of votes. Imam Kasozi, should we be going for regions in the FDC if they have to choose another party president? Should they choose from another region?
I don't think I can state it better than Mayanja, because me as a person, I don't believe much in those regions. I believe in competence. Is somebody competent? That is number one. Can he deliver? Because more often than not, I have seen my own letting me down because they are not capable. Whereas people who I would say I have no connection with them except humanity, they have delivered what I want. Therefore, where somebody comes from should not be actually the issue. Like even like I don't believe in hereditary leadership too much. Okay. But if somebody is capable and because he is related to somebody, he should not be denied that opportunity. We must look at the capabilities and then plan a way forward. Therefore, the regions don't matter very much. Number 2, how have you positioned yourself? Because you can talk about regions and then they give you an opportunity and you fail to raise a candidate that is worthy to take your organization forward.
Let's hear your wisdom, Honorable Sebalu, on this.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, merit should be the critical deciding factor. Once the party, FDC as a party, puts the qualification, the criteria, and the virtues, and the values, and the capabilities, then whoever meets those should be put in the pool. Then people do pick whom they think is the best choice. But the idea of regions, I think, can compromise competence and capabilities. For instance, I want to give an example. I'm with Major General Mugisha Muntu in the East African Legislative Assembly. I really find him a very competent person, very well exposed, and very operating on a knowledge base. So it would be very unfair for the party to totally exclude him, not even to give him a chance to explain his views, his ideas, and his dream for the party. Right. So I think at the end of the day, the regions should look for the best so that they get the best out of the entire country and be able to produce a leader that could enhance their values as a party. So the idea of regionalizing candidature, in my view, is not something we should encourage. Let's look at who is the best among the best.
All right. Yeah. So what you're saying is if Dr. Ian Clark, for instance, he got one of the highest votes, 96% or something like. If he wants to go to the FDC and become party president, do you think he should be allowed? Dr. Ian Clark,
should be allowed.
FDC president.
Because now the qualification for you to stand for any party, you must be a member of that party.
Right, so you can
qualify in terms of age that is required, 35 and plus. You must look at the qualification. Once you get those basics right, and you're a member of the party, paid up member, genuine member of the party, you should offer yourself for leadership and be able and be considered for that matter.
Maybe just before we go, do you think Besigye leaving will get Museveni to also think of leaving his party helm? Don't laugh. I don't
think that Museveni has ever thought about leaving. He wants to leave when NRM is not there or is no longer in power. I'm not even seeing that. I'm not even thinking about that. But of course, we shall continue asking President Museveni to see the logic that he has done his part, and it is time to leave.
All right, maybe something you're thinking about is Christmas. Sunday's Christmas. Kampala has been a beehive of activity. Many people looking for things to buy.
But
Transporters are also busy.
I need to comment about that thing. It would be unfair to allow him to comment about my party without giving me a chance.
What is it that you want to say?
Now, the whole idea of
Mr. Seven.
Who is the chairman of my party?
Yes.
He's committed about culture.
Yes.
The Christmas is an issue of the party.
Right. And the
So for him to imagine that our chairman will learn from other... No. He has a lot of good mechanisms. We have internal mechanisms. We have all the systems and structure. So there is no need whatsoever for the chairman to seek advice or out the
The prices are very high. Some people think this is one of the coldest Christmas in many years. Where you come from, do you think things are going to be well?
Definitely, I really pity the people who are running around to see that they can't celebrate this day in a style they normally know.
Why?
Because I've seen many friends, I've seen many people who are saying, my friend, it is going to be hard this time to have the real celebrations as we want them. But of course, I just want to use this opportunity to tell them that don't overstretch yourself.
What do you mean by that statement?
Yeah, just to live within the means, try to do things as if Christmas is like any other day. Well, go to church if you are if you are really celebrating Christmas, because it is for Christians. Go to church.
And when you come out of church?
When you come out of church, go and do the normal, like you're at home like
the children.
Yes,
people are really
should not overstretch themselves. That's what the new economic order dictates on us, and we have to accept it. And how, we build the capacity to maneuver out of it. If we overstretch ourselves, we are going to find ourselves in problems.
Some people are in their homes. When it comes home, the children ask, who's that man? Maybe it's time for them to reconnect with their family. So, where you come from? What is Christmas going to look like?
No, I think I want to give a regional perspective. I've been in all these capitals in the last about 2-3 weeks.
The 5 capitals.
The 5 capitals. So Christmas is going to be low in all the capitals. Christmas is going to be low globally. You've had the kind of strikes that have been in many Western capitals.
Right.
There is a serious meltdown of economic situation globally. So this year's Christmas
is going
to be a cold one across
all over the world.
Yes, it is a major economic issue. But also, like my brother said, I think we better need to live within the possible means.
Right.
Christmas is a big day, but like any other day,
it comes and goes. 24 hours. Not a second more.
It will go. And actually, I want to borrow from the Muslims when they go through the holy month of Ramadan. To me, it is something we need to emulate. It teaches you certain disciplines of survival.
All right, Imam Kasozi.
Yes.
Christmas, where you come from, what is it going to be like? Will you be giving out gifts? You are a Muslim leader. What are you going to do tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday?
I will keep at home. I have been invited to speak to some people.
In church to preach?
No, it is a community development group.
Right.
I will speak to them in the morning, and then I will come back home.
We have to end there. Thank you very much, dear guest. Honorable Mike Sebalu, Ugandan representative of the East African Legislative Assembly, also member of the NRM. Thank you very much for coming to Spectrum tonight.
I would like to wish every Ugandan a Merry Christmas and an eventful 2012.
Imam Kasozi, lecturer at IUIU, also Muslim Cleric. Thank you for coming to Spectrum, sir.
Thank you for inviting me.
Mr. Vincent Mayanja, Deputy Secretary General of the Democratic Party, also a veteran journalist, used to work for the French news agency AFP.
Thank you, Edmond, and Merry Christmas to everybody and Happy New Year.
And of course, as we look forward to 2012, there are ripples in China, and people are asking whether the Arab Spring has gone to China. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. Spectrum will be back on Tuesday next week. Have a very blessed weekend.